Yeah.
All right, what's up, everybody? This is the Nate Jones Show, and today we have on Kimmy Jones. I'm Nate Jones, and today is going to be a fun podcast, in my opinion, because we're talking about, number one, success. It's about 7 things that you need to look out for if you want to be successful.
2 is finding your business idea.
Yep, number 2 is find your business idea. So if you're like, hey, I don't know what the heck I want to do, but I know I don't want to work for somebody else.
Yep. Hopefully these will help you find what you want to do next.
Yeah, stick around because that's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Then number 3, I'm going to prove why you should follow the money when everybody else says don't follow the money.
Ooh.
So we'll see if I'm successful with that.
Yeah, that one will be interesting. Let us know in the comments what you think.
I can't wait. Please, if you disagree, please comment.
Yep,
I would love
it.
to get in a fight in the comments.
Yep.
Okay, so let's hop into success.
And these are things that we've seen in our life, just things that we've learned, things that other people have shown us, that we've learned from other people, things that our friends have learned, just a whole bunch of wisdom that our young years of life we've picked up on what it takes to be successful.
That's right. So the first one is your network determines your net worth. That means who you are around determines if you're successful, you're unsuccessful. A lot of times it determines your bank account.
Yep.
Because if you're not around opportunities, if you're around people who are blowing their money, you're going to blow your money. If you're around people who aren't going after success, they're not going to go after success, so you're not going after success. I mean, your people that you're around really determines your success. I remember when I was in college, I didn't want to go to a networking event. I went to the networking event, met a guy. He's opened up so many doors in my life just because I met him that one time. And it's like, everything in my life that I've achieved has been from a ripple of somebody else.
Yep.
You can grip it yourself and try to figure out life and say, I'm going to open up my own doors. And you can only go so far that way. But when you have the help of somebody else pointing to a door that you didn't know existed, you can achieve whatever you want.
Yeah, and I think that just hits on the importance of networking and like making sure that you make a name for yourself, that people know who you are. It's kind of like that saying, the more hands you shake, the more money you make, right? People can't buy from you unless they know who you are, who to buy from. And your network is huge on that.
And so many people are just looking for somebody to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in working for you, or hey, I'm interested in opportunity. Do you know anybody who's everybody wants to connect everybody with everybody.
Yeah.
I love it when people ask us, hey, do you know so-and-so who does this work on houses, or do you know a roofer? Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah.
James, send it to James. Like, I love connecting people, and everybody else does too.
Yeah. I think some people are afraid to ask people for help. And that kind of goes into another one of our points, which is like just feeling that you are a crutch, right? Like, you can't do that when it comes to success. You have to have confidence in yourself. You have to be able to just go with the flow, be the confident, ask people if you want a job, ask them. Like, it's not hard to reach out on LinkedIn and say, hey, can we go get coffee? I'd love to talk. Do you have any opportunities? So yeah, you definitely have to be confident in yourself.
So many people hold themselves back from success.
Yeah.
They just completely trip themselves up anytime they're going after something. That is just having toxic relationships when you could get out of those relationships.
Right.
Just being around negative people. Using your past, this is a big one, using your past as a crutch for your future. You can never really go after meaningful success because you believe you're not enough because of something that happened in your past.
Right.
I get it. Life's rough. Everybody has a rough upbringing. Everybody has something that is screwed up and shouldn't have happened. But if you let that one thing that happened in the past impact your future, then you're not going to be who you should be in life. So like, stop tripping over yourself and say, okay, I have a blank canvas in front of me. It is up to me to determine what I'm going to be.
Yeah.
Not what I was, not who messed me up or whatever happened. But like, don't let yourself not achieve success.
Yeah. And another thing is, it's okay to be different. I think there's a lot of people out there who just want to kind of follow the status quo because they're afraid of what people might think if they're different, right? If all your friends are going to college and you're like, you know, I really don't know what I want to do after I graduate high school. I might take a gap year and kind of figure that out because that's best for me. but you're afraid to tell your friends that, a lot of people can't be different because they're afraid. And that's okay. Like, if you want to be successful, a lot of the successful people are different. Look at Elon Musk, look at Jeff Bezos, right? They would have never had what they have today if they didn't take a chance, step out, find something to be different about, and it's okay.
People don't write stories about average people. They write stories about extraordinary people, trailblazers, people that did not follow the crowd. They went their own way and found opportunities in those areas. So challenging the status quo means, hey, not necessarily creating your own business, not necessarily doing that, but finding a way in which you can do it with your personality and who you are, tailored 100% to your life.
Right.
So many people, they just like, oh, well, what is so-and-so doing? You're following everybody else. Stop following everybody else and follow what you want. And we're just a society of herds moving around, and we're just fall into these herds, and we don't really understand that, hey, what do we actually want to do?
Right.
What do we want to be? And if you keep following around people, then you're never going to get to where you really should be. You're just going to be following people the rest of your life.
Right. It's worth mentioning. It's probably a good idea just to either have a journal or, just sit and think for a while without social media, without the television, without your computer. Like, where do you as a person actually want to end up? And if that's where you want to end up, then figure out how to get there, right? And knowing that is huge.
And so many people are so scared to not follow the herd and challenge the status quo because they don't believe they belong in the room. You do belong in the room. Everybody feels like they shouldn't be where they're at.
Yeah.
Doing this podcast, everyone has self-doubt. Everyone says, should I be talking in front of people? What if I say something stupid? Am I good enough to do this? Am I good enough to be in the room? Everybody has those thoughts. Everybody thinks they're not enough. Everybody has some sort of insecurities. And you just have to realize, hey, I'm going to have those. I acknowledge that. I'm going to be a little bit nervous. But at the end of the day, if you want to go after something, you have to be a little bit uncomfortable. And
to step out and take the risk. Like, if what you have in your head is, hey, I'm going to go be a welder and I'm going to be the best welder in the world. I'm not going to go to college because for me, it doesn't make sense. I'm not good at school, but I'm good with my hands, right? If that's what it is, go do it and be fully confident in yourself to go do it. Yeah.
One thing I've learned is going in with that is use the feeling of being behind, or use the feeling of being behind. Let me re-say that. Use the feeling of being behind as an advantage. Everyone who's successful feels like they're not doing enough. I don't know how many times I've worked 60 hours a week and I'm like, I could have done this more. I could have done that more. Right. Everybody feels like they're behind. And you have to use that as a motivating factor. Like, oh, I'm not where I need to be. Okay, I need to get back in here. I need to get to work. Oh, I'm not reading what I should be reading, or I'm not ready for this test, or I'm not ready for this next business venture. I need to get in the lab and start working. So many people look at that and they say, oh, no, I'm good. Like, I'm good where I'm at. Like, I don't need to read. I don't need to learn. Like, and that's a horrible attitude. That does not lead to success whatsoever. Like, you have to have the attitude of, oh my gosh, I am so behind. I need to get in there. I need to get ahead. I need to start working right away.
Yeah. I think another thing too is, I've always said there's two types of people, right? There's the people who learn from experience, and there's the people who learn by watching other people or by taking advice from other people. If you're in the other people, like you can learn just by listening to other people camp, when it comes to success, use YouTube, use Facebook, use Google as your resource to get what other people have done. There's so many business owners, there's so many people who are successful who like to talk about it. They like to give free advice like we're doing right now. So use that to your advantage and figure out what they did and do the same thing.
Yeah, the whole world has left you a blueprint on pretty much any venture you can go after.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing something completely new, like the way Amazon or Microsoft was. But I mean, really, there's blueprints all the way back to the 1800s of somebody starting a completely new industry.
Right.
So it's like, if you want to start something, that there's probably a blueprint out there that you can learn from other people, so you don't have to make those mistakes. And the best way to do that is to get a mentor. Like, get a mentor,
Yeah.
get somebody who's been in the position you've been in, or just somebody who's achieved something. Because if they've achieved something, they can give you advice on how to achieve something else, even if it's unrelated.
I think one thing that's pretty wild to me is, like, Nate runs a YouTube channel. He has videos all the time, and people have reached out and asked you to have phone calls. And, like, the first time someone did that, I was like, oh my gosh, you can basically reach anyone you want to. Now, they might not respond to you, but if you have someone else that you're watching or following, reach out and ask if you can have a quick call and ask them a couple questions. Like, most people are absolutely willing to give you some time of day and help you out if they can. And that's just one thing, just putting yourself out there is, it's perfectly fine. It's not a weird thing. Like, people appreciate that, and you're going to stand out too.
And the reason successful people want to help people on the come up is because somebody helped them. So they know, like, hey, it'd be so cool for me to be a mentor someday. And then once you achieve success, people start reaching out to you. You're like, oh, like 100% I'm going to give back. 100% I'm going to, you're where I was 15 years ago. You're where I was 10 years ago. Let me hook you up and give you some advice. Hey, don't do this. Do this. Like, this is what I learned. This is what somebody told me. Like, heck yeah, everybody wants to help everybody out. But when you're in that spot on the come up, you think that everybody else does not want to help you. Everybody wants to help you. You're literally one ask away, one call away, one LinkedIn message away from connecting with that mentor that's going to be able to help you get to the next level.
And creating that ripple in your life that completely changes your life.
One connection can literally just, it's like, you know, you throw a rock in a lake, it ripples 360 degrees. So when you make one connection and then you make another connection, you make another connection, your pond becomes super choppy because all those connections, they all bleed into each other. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I know so many people. If I want one thing, or if I want an introduction to this job or an introduction for this business, or like, you just have all these network of people. And then, hey, if you don't know somebody, guess what? You have, 40 people that you could reach out to and say, hey, do you know somebody who does coding? Do you know somebody who does this? And if you reach out to enough of those people, they'll connect you with that person. So it's just, it's crazy how, I think they said almost everybody in the world's connected by
8 people.
8 people. And then in the United States or wherever your country is, you're probably connected with people probably 3 to 4 times.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I mean, the old saying, it's a small world, like, it really is.
Yep.
It really is.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
But that being said, to wrap up this success kind of topic here is, don't be afraid to bet on yourself. Don't let other people determine what you want to go after in life because of their opinions. When you lay in bed at night by yourself and you're with your thoughts, those people's opinions don't matter. What you feel about your life and what you're going after is the only thing that matters. People's opinions are like trash. You just throw them away and you don't acknowledge them, in my opinion. Now, there's certain opinions you want to listen to, but if you believe in what you're doing and you've thought it through and you've done your research before starting a business or whatever you're going after, don't let somebody stop you from doing that because they have an opinion. Because honestly, that person, the reason they're telling you not to go after your dreams is because they never went after theirs, or they went after theirs and they gave up and they quit and they feel bad about it. So they don't want anybody else to have success because it makes them feel bad about what they did.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you said, there's always a caveat with opinions, but for the most part, I mean, if you know that you're on the right path, you can lay your head on your pillow at night and sleep well, and you feel confident in your choices. Like, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on here, we're going to talk about finding your business idea. How do you find your business idea? It doesn't matter what stage you're at in life. You just graduated high school, maybe you're in college, maybe you're older, and you're like, hey, I'm tired of working for the man. I'm tired of working a job. I want to be the owner. I want to create a business. And, this channel that we make here is just all about business ownership. And because I really do think that being your own boss, forging your own way, number one, money-wise, you're making so much more money as a business owner if you're successful than you ever could as an employee.
Yep.
And number two, you have creative control and actually control over your life. Hey, if I want to take time off, I don't got to ask anybody. If I want to go take a break and do something, I don't have to ask my boss. And the third thing is that ultimate wealth and being able to give back to an organization because you're the owner. You set the tone, you set the culture. So if there's things that you don't like about your culture, guess what? You're the owner now. You set the culture.
Yeah, you can change it. And with this, we do own our own company. So we're very knowledgeable about this. We went through all of these steps as well, just to kind of figure out what the correct business was for us.
We think about starting a business probably every other month, like a new business
every
idea.
week.
So like this whole process that I'm going to tell you here of how to start a business or how to find your business idea is something that we go through all the time.
Yep.
And the first step is look around where you're at right now.
Yeah. Like your current circle.
Your current circle. And see if there's an opportunity in what you're doing now, right? So if you're working at, who knows, so maybe you're working somewhere and there's a possibility for you to start that business. Okay, there's a possibility. There's an immediate possibility. You understand the business you're working in, you could potentially start that. A lot of times it's not the case. Okay, so what are the businesses that interact with the place that you work? Even if you're a nurse or you're working in the medical field, there's businesses that interact with the medical field. So you don't have to start a hospital, but you can start a business that interacts with a hospital. So looking around where you're at right now, just keeping your eyes open to saying, okay, what interacts with this? Who's taking the trash out at the place I'm working at? Who's taking the trash out? Where's the trash going? Like just following stuff. I know that sounds weird, but like following stuff, because if you saw the opportunity, then you probably wouldn't be seeking advice for this. And a lot of times business opportunities do not come up easily.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times they're covered up and you have to uncover the business idea. So a lot of times you overlook business ideas just because you're like, oh, well, I've never thought about that, right? It's like, well, if you keep your eyes open and you look around at your immediate circle, you're going to be able to find something.
Yeah, I think starting our own company, like business is so creative. And I think that's one thing people don't talk about. This is a side note, but you have to be so creative in business, because if you are starting something that's never been done before, to even have the idea of that is insanely creative. And two, in order to actually create a business and your processes and your marketing, and you wear every hat. You have to be creative with how you stand out from other people, and creative with the ideas. So when you're looking around you, get creative. It's perfectly fine. Business is not as like black and white as people think.
Yeah, literally every business interacts with probably over 50 businesses.
Oh, absolutely.
If not more. And it's not every day, right? Like you think of the light bulbs in a warehouse. Well, obviously those don't need change every day, but there's a business that does that.
Yep.
Or there's a maintenance company. There's something that does that. So looking around where you're at now and just seeing if there's opportunities, that's the first thing. Is just saying, okay, where am I around, and is there a business that I could actually start by looking at where I'm at? That takes no effort at all. You're already bored at your job. You're probably only working 6 hours when you work 8. Let's be honest. You're thinking about other things. It's time to be productive with that time and think about other businesses you could start. Number 2, you need to network with local businesses and your community. Ask those business owners, what's your biggest headache? Tell me your top 5 headaches about your business. What are the things that you hate doing? What are the things in which there's an opportunity in? Okay. And then from those opportunities, from those headaches, is there a business that can solve those problems?
Yeah, absolutely. We mentioned it before, but your network is your net worth, right? So like you have to, and to that point, just messaging business owners on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Hey, I'd love to get a cup of coffee. I'm interested in your company, what you do. I'd love to pick your brain on certain things. The amount of times you're probably going to get a yes is way more than what you would expect, because people want to help you, especially business owners.
Yeah. So if you message enough or you call them up, say, hey, I'd like to meet, just pick your brain about business. I'm wanting to start a business someday, not in your industry, but just trying to find a business idea. So like, I'd just love to pick your brain about things that frustrate you. And then if you sit down with 10 business owners in your local community and ask them what they don't like, I guarantee you're going to find a business idea in which could solve some of their problems. Correct. Right? If you think of business owners, I hate doing social media. So like, hey, if somebody called me and said, hey, can I manage your social media? Or if they ask me what the top 5 headaches that I deal with that I don't want to deal with, it's social media. So like, okay, great. Well, if you have 5 people say that that's their headache, Okay, well then there's 5 potential customers right there.
Yeah.
For a
yeah.
business you can solve.
Plus, you've already connected with them. So if there are commonalities between all of those, that could be an easy layup.
Yeah. Okay, then after that, after you've networked or after you've looked around where you're at now and you've networked with local business owners, the next thing is you need to look at potentially buying a business in your local community. There are so many people, the average business owner age is in the 50s. So there's a lot of people that are in their late 50s, 60s that have kids, but the kids don't want to take over the business. Maybe they've moved out of the state, they just don't want to do it. So they don't have anybody to transition that business to. And if you reach out to a number of those people and you say, hey, what's your plan on retirement? Like, what is there any way you could teach me how to take over your business over the next 5 years? And when you're ready to retire, we work out basically I pay you after you leave, a buy sell. The owner's financing the sale of the business. And if you reach out to enough of those business owners and ask what their plans are for retirement, you could probably work up a relationship where you're taking over a business and paying the owner back with his own money.
Yeah, I love that idea. I mean, if you want something that's pretty easily laid out, right? Maybe you're not the most creative person, but you're really good at managing processes and clients and you're good with the details. Maybe that's a good option because there's bizbuysell.com. You can find tons of businesses for sale, right? You can cold call businesses that are a little bit older, see if they want to sell. And you can get into those businesses that already have they have an established accountant, they have established insurance, they have established client base. Like it kind of takes away the stress of the first couple of years. Now you are paying them back over time or giving a lump sum at the beginning, right? So it is a little bit more capital intense, but they have an established base where they've already learned some of the hiccups and the headaches that you won't have to go through. So that's definitely a great option.
The nice thing about buying a business versus starting a business is that you're able to take an existing business, which probably has problems with either sales, continuing to put the pedal to the metal on sales, or their processes are outdated. They're still like using paper and storing paper on everything. There's so many things that if you take an existing business that's been around for a while, there's so many inefficiencies that you can take out and make it run more efficiently, and you're able to scale a lot faster because you already have an existing client base in which you can nurture. So buying a business is a massive opportunity, especially today because there's so many small businesses in which the owner's making 300 to 400 grand a year, if not more, and nobody knows it. People think they're not making that much money. A lot of these local businesses in your community are making a lot of money, and buying a business is, I mean, it can be way more efficient than just starting one if you can take over an existing book of business and continue to grow it. It only makes sense to buy a business if you're able to grow it after sale.
Yeah.
Because usually you're more incentivized because you're paying the owner back if you sell their finance, or if you're paying a loan, you want to pay more. You want to be able to bring in more revenue to that business to improve it.
Yeah.
Another thing you need to do when you're thinking of a business idea is, let's say you've done what we just said. You looked around where you're at. You networked with local business owners to find the issues that they have in business, and you've also talked to people about potentially selling their business, and you still don't have anything yet. Well, what you need to be doing is you need to be researching it every day. You will find what you're looking for in life with the internet that we have. If you look on YouTube on different business ideas, like our page, we have tons of videos on how to start certain businesses, and there's tons of other pages out there that provide business ideas. If you look on websites, just Google things, and you're constantly looking for different businesses to start, running them in your head, running the scenario, making sure it fits the lifestyle that you want, you will eventually find one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another point too, when it comes to finding a business idea to mention is make sure when you start this entire process that you're thinking about the life that you want to create. So, which it might not be attainable for every idea you have, but if you want a life where you have freedom, where you don't necessarily have to be tied down, whatever it is, find a business that fits that lifestyle. So if you're going to go out and actually put your time and effort into something, make sure it's what you want to do for the next 10, 20 years of your life. And that's just you sitting down, really thinking about what you want your life to look like. If you're a woman, do you want to stay home, raise kids, and work on the side? Like, are those all options? Absolutely. There's tons of companies out there that allow you to do that, and business ideas. But you got to know that going into it so that you're intentionally making those decisions as you go throughout this process.
Okay, so now I'm going to convince our listeners why they should follow the money instead of following what their passion is.
Let's hear it.
So many people say I'm going to go through all the arguments that people say why you should not follow the money. And I'm going to tell you why you should follow the money, okay? So, number one, people say, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. I disagree with that. I think if I am working at doing what I love, that's a job. Let's say I love fishing. I love deep sea fishing. I would much rather fish on my own boat because I did what made me money than taking other people's fish off their hook for 8 hours a day, and then maybe at the end I get to do some fishing. It's like, no, if I enjoy fishing and I love it, I want to do it on my own time. I don't want to turn that into a job, because what I've learned is if I turn what I love into a job, then I don't love it anymore. I dread it, because we're always going to dread what we do for a living. But if we can do a job that makes us a ton of money, and then we're able to take that money and then go do what we love, that's the ultimate freedom in life.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I love to bake cakes. I like decorating cakes, anything with baking, right? I enjoy it because I don't do it every day. And a lot of people have said, hey, start a bakery. Why don't you do this? I always say no, because if I did that, I would hate it, right? You eventually, the thing that you love, like you said, becomes something that you hate doing and you resent doing it. So make sure that you're following it for the money and not something that you love. And this is a hot take. It is.
Yeah, like I love doing what I do on my YouTube channel. I like doing podcasting. I like talking about money, talking about business. And guess what? If I didn't have a business that paid us a ton of money where I'm able to just do this and not make money doing it and not even care if I make money doing this, then guess what? I have the freedom to be able to actually help people out without a alternative agenda. I don't have any course to sell you. I don't have anything to really sell. All I have is my thoughts and my feelings, and I'm putting them out there in the world. Yeah. That's freedom. But if you turn this into a job, then you're like, okay, well, I need to find a way to make money, but also make it the way in which I love it. But then it's always like you're kind of selling something.
Yeah, it's hard.
So
it's
I don't
know. And people say, money won't make me happy. What do you say to that?
Okay, so if somebody says money won't make me happy, I'm going to say your life is better with money. Your vacations are better. Your health is better. They've shown that people with more net worth actually live longer. They live more healthy lives because they're able to afford exercise. They're able to afford eating healthier. You're able to have better moments with your family because you can afford to not be financially stressed. The number one leader to divorce is financial stress. So if you're stressed and you're getting a divorce, no one has ever said that that's happy, right? It's never good for the family. It's never happy for divorce, right? But they get divorced because of financial stress. So solving your financial stress and not having that in your life makes your life better. When you're able to give to that family member in need who's going through a procedure, a health procedure or something, that's happiness. When you're able to give to a charity that really needs, it's a huge need out there, those charities need money. And money provides opportunity for people to do what they love, to make other people happy. If you don't have money, then how can you be happy?
Right. And just a caveat, money will not fulfill you. We completely agree with that statement. Money won't fulfill you, but it does make you happy.
Would I rather be in a Lamborghini having a rough day, or would I rather be in a beat up old tiny Honda Civic? I would rather be in a Lamborghini. I would rather go home, have a big house, have an in-ground pool, have all that stuff, and be happy and have a miserable day than have a miserable day and have a hole in my wall. So like what I'm trying to say is when people say money won't make you happy, usually that person doesn't have any money. Usually they're financially stressed and they're trying to convince themselves that money isn't going to solve their problems.
Yeah.
But if you're financially stressed and you're bickering at each other, it's because of the money. If you made more money and that stress is away, then you're able to work on the real issues in your relationship.
Yeah. And what about, what if you lose all the money you have? What if you try that business, it fails, and you're gone? What do you say to that?
Yeah, I think so many people have said before we started our business, somebody said, hey, you're going to go bankrupt. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now I make 4 times what she makes. So all I got to say is, if you don't ever play the game, you can't score. If you're continued to be on the sidelines because you're scared that if you go in the game, you might get hurt, then you're never going to score a touchdown. Okay. So if you're scared of losing what you have, Well, you probably don't have that much now anyways, so you might as well go out there, start that business, go after what you want to go after, because then if you are successful, you're not the old guy sitting back and saying, "Oh, if I would have started that business, I would have been rich." It's like, no, you're the old guy who's actually rich because he started.
Right. And we all know those people.
Yeah, so it's like, don't be the guy who's like, "Oh, I wish I would have done this." It's like, no, you have one life. Who cares if you lose everything at 30? You rebuild it back.
Right.
Because you're still going to have this normal life even if you don't go after it. And if you lose it, you're probably going to get back up somehow and try again. And you get back up and try again. And you're going to be closer to success because you lost it all.
Yeah.
And like, people don't understand that. They're so scared of taking one step back. It's like sometimes you have to take 2 steps back just to find 20 steps forward.
What's the statistic? I think typical billionaires have gone bankrupt.
Yeah, the
2
average
or 3
billionaire
times.
has gone bankrupt 2 times.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you want to be a billionaire? Well,
you better get used to it.
Yeah, something's going to go south, and you're going to be worried that you're going to lose everything.
Yeah.
So when you're going after success, it's going to be a bumpy road. And so many people are scared of having one bump, but they don't understand that it takes multiple bumps. And then as long as you're going up, over time, you will continue to find success. And that's what we've learned. We've had great months, we've had bad months. Great months, bad months. But in the aggregate, we're at a way better spot.
Yeah, it's definitely not for the faint of heart, but we will say it's completely worth it.
Yeah.
And so let us know what you guys think. Did Nate convince you to follow the opportunity instead of the money? I'm curious what your thoughts are.
If you can have money, you can solve a lot of problems in your life. And if you don't have any problems, you can solve a lot of problems that other people have in life.
Right.